All right, section 6.4 is titled the percent equation. And so we're not going to be using models today in our homework, but the questions you're going to see on tonight's worksheet are going to look like this. It's going to say, what number is 50% of 30? Or 15 is what percent of 75? Or 24 is 33 and 1/3% of what number? These are examples of the types of question you'll see on tonight's worksheet. So I want you to use a model here so you can kind of visualize what we're going to be doing on paper. Yeah, Frank? What do you think the answer to question A is? That's correct. So 50%, if you think about all percents being out of 100, 50% is halfway between 0 and 100%. So that top box right there is 50%. Now, Frank knows that 50% is 1/2. So he thinks, what number is 1/2 of 30? What did you say it was? 15. That's exactly right. So our answer to question A is 15. And that's how you would use a model to show that it's 50% or half of 30. All right, question B. Yeah. Catch a break here. Here we go. Question B, 15 is what percent of 75? So looking at the diagram, what do they seem to be counting by on the top of the model? What percent are they counting by, Addison? That's right. 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, and then 100%. The reason they split it into 20% increments is because 15 is 1/5 of 75. So they split it into fifths. So the bottom row is counting by 15s. So 0, 15, what comes after 15? 30. 45, what comes after 45? 60, and then 75. So let's answer the question. Which of those percentages on top represents the number 15? 15 is what percent? 20%. The answer to question B is 20%. And then part C, 24 is 33 1/3%. Now remember, that's 33.3 repeating. So that's 1/3 as a fraction, and as a percent, 33 1/3%. That's why they split this diagram into thirds instead of fifths. 24 is 33 1/3%, or 1/3 of what number? So my answer is going to be this box here. 24 is 1/3 of 33 1/3% of which number? So let's work our way there. If 24 is 1/3 of the way, they're counted by 24s on bottom. What number is 2/3 of the way? 48, just counted by 24. What number is 3/3 of the way? 72. So our answer here is 72. 24 is 33 1/3%, or 1/3 of the number 72. So that's a visual representation of what we're going to be doing in class today. But using a model isn't always easy because you have to know what you'd have to split it up by, which isn't, sometimes we just don't know that. So instead, what we're going to do today is use an equation. We've used lots of equations this year, so we're just going to come back to that. Our equations this chapter are going to have decimals in them, obviously, because of our percents. That's why you guys all have calculators out on your desk. Now, to turn our per sentences or percent sentences, which I just combine those words together, a percent sentence is a per sentence. To make it an equation, we have to replace the word is with equals. Now that one makes sense. If I said the answer is 75 or X equals 75, that's the same thing. What you may not know though, is the word of in math can always, not just today, always be replaced with a multiplication symbol. For example, what's half of 10? 5. Well, that's half 0.5 times 10. If you do 0.5 times 10, you'll get 5. So the word of, we kind of do it anyways. We just didn't really know that it meant multiply. Okay. Now, another thing we're going to have to do is rewrite all of our sentences. Sorry, rewrite each sentence as an equation and solve, and then convert all of our percents to decimal form. The reason for that is because our calculator needs decimals so it can operate. So every time we get a percent, we're just going to move that decimal 2 spots backwards to the left to make it a decimal so we can plug it into our calculator. So let me show you how this works. Pretty simple. What number is 24% of 50? Underline where it says what number. When we solve equations, there's always variables or unknowns that we don't know, and this says what number? It's our unknown. I'm going to use n for number. So where it says what number, I'm just replacing it with the variable n. Now underline the word is. Is means equals. So I just replace it with an equal sign. Can't have an equation without an equal sign. Underline the number, or the percentage, I should say, 24%. I have to convert that into a decimal so I can use my calculator. What is 24% as a decimal, Frank? Good, 0.24. Underline the word of. Of means times. So put a times symbol down. And then underline the number 50. 50 is just a number, so it doesn't need converted. We don't need to move any decimal point. It's not a percentage. So literally just write the number 50 down. Bless you. So when it says what number is 24% of 50, that's the same thing as n equals 0.24 times 50. Now, when we solve an equation, we want to get the variable by itself. That's how we solve it. N's already by itself. So all we need to do is figure out what this other side of the equation is equal to. So Lucas, what are you getting for 0.24 times 50? 12. Yeah. We're just going to take 0.24 in our calculator, times it by 50, and that gives us n equals 12. Once you're done, I want you to kind of think about that, see if that answer makes sense. 24% is close to 25%, which is a quarter. It's 1/4 of the way. I would say 12 is 1/4 of the way to 50, or close to it, right? So that makes sense. 24% isn't a lot. 12 is not a huge chunk of 50, so that makes sense. Move on to question B. 9.5 is what percent of 25? Underline the number 9.5 and just rewrite it. It's a number. So just, we don't need to move the decimal. It's not a percent, just a number, 9.5. Underline the word is. Branson, what does the word is mean? Equals. Easy enough. Underline the words what percent. Now, last time we underlined what number, we used n. When it says what percent, use p for percent. When we get our answer, we're going to have to make sure we give our answer in percent form, is what that means. Underline the word of. Parker, what does the word of mean? Multiply, good. And then underline the number 25 and rewrite it. 9.5 is what percent of 25 as a percentence. Now as equation is 9.5 equals p times 25. Now, unlike the last equation, this equation, the variable is not alone. It's being multiplied by 25. Andrea, what's the opposite then of multiplying by 25? Dividing, exactly. Lainey, will you shut the door for me, please? So we're going to divide both sides by 25. Andrea, can you do 9.5 divided by 25 for me? Now, while she's doing that, remember this 25 is going to times out with the times 25. So we just have P equals what? 0.38. So our answer as a number is 0.38, but we want to give our answer as a percent for this problem. So we're just going to move that decimal 2 spots to the right. And Alexis, what percent is 0.38? That's right. So that's going to be our final answer. 9.5 is 38% of 25. A little over a third of the way to 25. Next one. Underline the number 39. Just rewrite that below, 39. Underline the word is. Caden, what does the word is mean again? Equals, good. By the way, this is something you might want to write on the top of your work paper on tonight somewhere, because you're going to be using it on, I'm sorry, not your work paper, your worksheet, right? Because you're going to be using it on all 17 problems. Okay. Underline 52%. Maddie, what's 52%? Maddie enters as a decimal. Okay. And again, we're writing that as a decimal so we can plug it into our calculator, because calculators only use decimal form. They only use decimals and they only give us decimals. So for example, when Andrea did her division, she got 0.38. We had to convert that ourselves. Underline the word of. Aiden, what does the word of mean? Multiply. And then we're back to number. It says what number. So underline where it says what number, and we're going to use an N again. And there's our equation. Literally, step by step, we're constructing this equation from the sentence we were given. The variable is not by itself. So what would we have to do to both sides to get N by itself? Divide by 0.52, exactly. Divide both sides by whatever is being multiplied to the end. So divide by 0.52. Divide by 0.52. That's going to go away. Actually, the time sign goes away too, because I'm dividing. And I get N equals. And then Thomas, what is 39 divided by 0.52? $75. Nice job. 39 is 52% of 75. And that makes sense because 52% is just a little bit more than halfway. And if I double 39, I get 78. Well, 39% is a little bit more than halfway, so 78 would be a little bit more than 75. That makes sense. So logically, this problem makes sense when I'm done with it. If I would have gotten an answer like 0.75, I would know that's not right. 0.75 is not halfway to 39 or halfway to that number. So that doesn't make sense. All right, example D. 3 is what percent of 600? Now, if you had to guess, would you say this is a large percent, a medium percent, or a small percent? 3 is what percent of 600? Very small. Very small. So if you had $600 and you gave someone $3, you have most of your money left, right? So this is just a very small percentage of that. So I'm expecting a very small percent. Let's go ahead and write it. Underline the word, the number 3 and rewrite it. Underline the word is. Maddox, what are we replacing the word is with? Good job, equal sign. Underline where it says what percent. We're using the letter P for percentage. Hopefully that P reminds you that when you get your answer, you still have to convert it to percent. Don't use N for every number because some are numbers and some are percents. Underline the word of. Ella, what's the word of mean? Times. And then underline the number 600. And rewrite it. 3 equals P times 600. Natalie, what do I need to do to both sides to get P by itself? That's right, divide by 600. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't this just 600 divided by 3? Isn't this 200? No. Do 3 divided by 600 and tell me what you get, Lucas. 0.005. Yeah, this, if it says 3 divided by 600, I have to do that. Don't mix it up. 0.005. That's my number answer. I need to give it as a percent answer. So Maddie Cheeseman, what is this as a percent then? Nice job. Move the decimal twice. My notability is lagging. There we go. And that's going to be 0.5%. So remember we said it was going to be a very small percentage. It's less, or it's actually 0.5%. It's less than a full percent. So 0.5% of your money. $3 would be 0.5% of 600. If it says what percent, make sure you convert to percent at the end. If it says what number, it's going to have you convert percentage at the beginning. Yeah, Frank? Well, the decimal would be the number. So you could get decimal answers in your problem. Okay, but it's not going to say what decimal. It could have a decimal in it. It'll just say what number. It's either going to say what number or what percent. Okay, that's it. Just those two. Now, you may be thinking, why would I need to do this? Why do I need to know this? Well, we're going to be looking over the next couple of days, lots of story problems or real world examples, I should say, of where this could come into play. Here's one of them. Now, on tonight's worksheet, you don't have any of these word problems. They're all per sentences, ready to go, ready for you to convert to equations and solve. But on tomorrow's 6.4 homework on big ideas, there will be some that look like this. Remember, Thursday, I'm giving you guys an Ed puzzle video for you to watch and to answer and see. And some of those story problems from 6.4 will be in the Ed puzzle video. So you can actually just copy them over. Okay? Let's look at this first one here. Use your bill to answer the following questions. Find the percent of sales tax on the food total. Find the percent of sales tax on the food total. The food total is $27.50. The sales tax is $1.65 or 65 cents. I need to know what percentage that tax is. So the way that I could word that is I could think to myself, $1.65, that's the sales tax, is what percent? Because I want to know what the percentage, and that says on the food total. So of the food total, but instead of writing of the food total, I know the food total is $27.50. So I'm going to write of $27.50. That's what I'm trying to find. When it says find the percent of the sales tax on the food total, it's asking me to find, basically saying $1.65, that's your tax, is what percent of that food total. It's what percent of $27.50. And so there's my percentance. Now I just turn it into an equation. I'm not going to make you underline right now unless you want to. But we do need to convert the word is, and we need to convert the word of. So what does is mean? Equals. So write 1.65 equals, when it says percent, we're going to use the letter P. We want a percentage answer. When it says of, what are we going to use? Times, and then our number is 27.50, $27.50. There's our equation. We just need to solve it. Whitney, if I were to get P by itself, what would I need to divide both sides by? That's right. We're going to divide both sides by whatever's being multiplied to the P, which is $27.50. So $27.50, divide by that on one side, divide by that on the other side. That's going to leave you with P equals, because this is all gone now. And then Hunter, what is 1.65 divided by 27.50? 0.06. Now, that's our number answer. They don't want that. They want the percentage. So Frank, what is 0.06 as a percent? 6%. Good job. So we just have to do the conversion at the end. So this must not be Indiana, where we're dining at the 8th Street Cafe, because Indiana has a what percent sales tax? 7%. That's right. Every state's different. Well, some are the same, but every state gets to decide their own. Part B says, find the amount of a 15% tip on the subtotal. So it's customary when you sit at a sit-down restaurant, you dine at a sit-down restaurant, that you tip your waiter or waitress at least 15%. You can go above and beyond that if you want to. Let's find out what 15% would be. So when you tip your waiter or waitress, though, you're looking at the subtotal. You're not looking at the food total. You're looking at the subtotal. That's the price after the tax has already been added on. So I need to know what number or what amount. I'll just put number because we can use the letter N, but it's really a dollar amount. So remember, we have to label our answer here. What number is 15% of the subtotal? But the subtotal is $29.15. That's what I'm trying to find. Hannah, what am I going to replace the word is with? Not multiplication, not division. Scroll back up in your notes. What do we replace is with? Scroll, purple, equal sign. There we go. Yeah. 15%. What's 15% as a decimal? 0.15 of, what's of mean? Times, and then 29.15. You'll notice n's already by itself. So I don't need to divide anything. Just tell me what 0.15 times 29.15 is. Addison, why don't you tell me that? You have a question? I need 0.15 times 29.15. Okay, now remember, this is a dollar amount. We're tipping our waiter or waitress. So what do dollar amounts get rounded to? Not tenth, hundredth, nearest cent, right? Nearest hundred, so 2 decimal places. So I need to look at the second decimal place. I'm sorry, I need to look at the third decimal place. Is that 2 going to bump the 7 up to an 8? It's not. So, okay, now that I've checked it, I can go ahead and erase those other numbers. And so a 15% tip would be $4.37. If you don't have 37 cents on you, maybe you could tip $4.50, or maybe you could just leave $5, right? You can always tip above that, but you don't want to go below that 15% mark. And our last question, you spend $54 shopping for your family for Christmas. How much is your total bill after 7% sales tax? So once I find how much tax this is, it says, what is the price of your total bill? After you know how much tax you're going to pay, what do you do with that tax? Do you keep it? You have to pay it, don't you? That's going to get added on to the $54 we're already paying. So keep that in mind, okay? So when it says you spend $54 shopping and it wants to know how much your total bill is with 7%, so maybe we're in Indiana, Christmas shopping. I need to know what number, which is really an amount. So if you wanted to say what amount, that would be fine. What number is 7% of $54? The answer to this question will tell me how much tax I'm paying. Then I'll need to add that on. So what can I replace what number with? In. What can I replace is with? Equals. What can I replace 7% with? 0.07, not 0.7, that's 70%. Make sure you're still moving it backwards twice and putting a 0 in. What can I replace of with? Times, and then 54. And then since n's already by itself, I just need to multiply here. Rayleigh, what is 0.07 times 54? 54. 3.78. We're talking about sales tax. So this is a dollar amount. Now that I know that I'm going to have to pay an extra $3.78, it wants to know, again, the total bill. So we're going to add that sales tax onto our $54 bill. And so what am I total? What in total, what am I paying for Christmas? $57.78. Is that what would you say? 57. I got 57 as well. Oh, 0.57. Try it again. 3.7. Maybe you've had the decimal in the wrong spot. 3.78 plus 54. Does that work? Okay. That's it. Tonight's homework isn't going to have any of these story problems on it, but we're going to look at some more of these story problems because these are real life problems we would want to solve. Like, I want to know how much I need to tip my waiter. I'd like to know before I go to the cash register what my total price is going to be. If mom gives me a $20 bill and I go buy, I don't know, some sort of custom thing for my Xbox controller that costs $19.98, I need to know that that $20 bill is not going to cover the price because of tax. Like, I need to know how much it's going to be, right? So those are things I need to know as I'm doing shopping or going out to eat, whatever. Okay, so we'll talk about this as we progress through this chapter.